Would you like to hear a poem?
Yeah.
Once upon and ever since I was a child in a child's world, I have wept a child's tears and built a child's wall of clay and stone and colored years, of poems in paint and virgin gold. I sought to build a wall so tall of lion eggs from Galilee, a brick of song among the dregs of silver nails and lesser men a mile long to kiss the sun and climb again. Once ago and ever now, I stood a man on a child's wall. I stopped and prayed to spider webs and roses of the sea. I spoke as one with all the earth and knew the pain of birth and death to be the same without my wall. Once upon and ever furled, I stand alone with all the world. It's called Joe's Song. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Wavy.
I tell you, Wavy, that was so beautiful because that was exactly what I was thinking. Every word you just said. Exactly what I was thinking.
But now for a little weirdness. After reading my poetry at the Gaslight for many years, we began to extrapolate and get loaded and make up shit. Like, hi there, I'm just snapping my index finger against my thumb, listening to the sound of my index finger snapping against my thumb. After a while, beginning to concentrate on my index finger, watching the dirt embedded in my fingernails, the nicotine stains ancient, and then next thing you know, I am swallowed by my index finger. But I don't panic. I reach down in my pocket and grab a sterling silver drill and start drilling from my finger bone to my knuckle bone, from my knuckle bone to my wrist bone, from my wrist bone to my elbow bone, from my to my neck bone, and next thing you know, I'm standing up inside my own head. Quite a place I got here. I inch down on my tongue, plug open my teeth, stand out at the tip of my tongue and say, what you have just heard is the human mind in action. Another example of better things toward better living through California agriculture.
Better living through chemistry, for sure. You realize he just took us back about 50, 60 years in his mind and went to this man is a pioneer of the high, a pioneer of the mind unleashed. And so we must give all praises to Mr. Wavis Gravis right here. This man was a pioneer. And we do so love you, Wavy. If we never ever get to tell you again, I fucking love you. These people love you. You represent freedom, American freedom 100%. I won't tell them the real truth about you because you're too wonderful a person to have that happen.
When I first started smoking weed in the 50s, it was dangerous.
Wow.
I mean, we used to keep the water running because you only had one flush in the toilet to get rid of stuff. And if they caught you smoking weed, you could do 10 years.
That's right.
10 fucking years in the joint. So we used to stash very elaborately. Sometimes I'd stash elaborately and forget where I stashed. Start tearing the house apart looking for...
I gotta tell a story, Wavy. I gotta tell you a story. I've never told you this. But when we came back from Egypt, we had 75 tons of Grateful Dead equipment, right? And it had to go through Karachi, Pakistan, and come into JFK Airport, right? And so it took a while for it to get all the way from Egypt back to New York. And so Kid and I flew out there to receive the equipment, right? And so we went out to the airport and we had some weed with us. God damn it, we were smoking pot, right? And you remember the old Pan Am bags that they used to give you when you flew places, right? We had the pot in that Pan Am bag that Kid had on his shoulder. And so we went out there and we sat down and there was all our gear piled up to the ceiling of this big warehouse. And we were waiting for customs to release it. And so they came in and we had that bag with the weed. What?
Settle down.
Yeah, Wavy wasn't there, son. What am I going to do? Transport him through your mind into my mind? Back into your mind? Oh no, I will not do that for you. Do not heckle me, friend. Anyway.
Yes, please.
Well, be nice, be nice. Wait, you got 2 more seconds. Can you hold on that long before you explode? Anyway, so we're sitting there, and here comes Kid, looks at me, and he says, they got dogs. And they came with German Shepherds, right? Just at JFK. And so we're sitting in there, Kid sneaks out to the rent-a-car, puts that bag down there. The dogs get loosed on the gear. They're jumping up all up and down on our equipment. And there was nothing in it, nothing in it. And they were jumping all over, like, get up there, boy, get up there, get up there. And this one dog turned, and he ran over to where we were sitting, where that bag was sitting on the table, and he jumped up on the table and he stuck his nose right where that Pan Am bag had been with the weed. And so the cop came over and he apologized. And then they looked under the table and they went everywhere under that fucking table. And there was nothing under there. And they were all mad at that dog. They were yelling at the dog and telling him, you piece of shit, you're going back to school. You don't know what you're doing. We're so sorry. And it distracted them from everything else. And that dog was the best fucking drug dog they ever had in their lives, man. But they didn't know it.
Thank you, Steve. I used to have a basset hound named Rex. He came to me out of the sky trying to stare down a Mack truck. We were trying to evacuate Narrowsburg, Pennsylvania, and this ancient basset hound landed at my feet. And I nursed him back to health. He had ginormous testicles like radioactive grapefruits. And the ladies' auxiliary of the hog farm insisted that we put his testicles in a macrame bag that they sewed for that occasion. And I gave him a wristwatch. And he was the watchdog, of course. He had a function. And if you wanted to know what time it was, you just followed the drool, and eventually you came to the basset hound. And then he had his watch on his paw, and he was an excellent watchdog. He got carried on and off the bus because he couldn't climb up there. His name was Rex. And let's give it up one time for Rex. A good howl. That's my dog story.
You know, the cops used a lot of Cocker Spaniels in Europe to sniff out drugs. And the best drug sniffing thing ever in the world was rats. They would let rats go on your gear, and if the rats found the drugs, you were finished, man. Because they really could smell better than dogs. This is
Rat
true.
on.
Rat on, exactly. And so, one time we were up in Albuquerque, and I go to find Wavy Gravy, man. We searched all over Albuquerque, all over New Mexico for him. He was hiding from the Grateful Dead, right? And so we had this, the first time we had a bus, and this guy was a country and western singer, and he was kind of not understanding us at all, right? So he takes us way up into Santa Fe, looking for the hog farm, and it starts snowing on us up there, and snowing like, I'm not kidding, in April you wouldn't expect the snow of New Mexico. And it snowed all over us all day, and everybody started panicking. We had to sleep there at their place, and they offered us every comfort known to man, and we got high, and we got high in a way on mushrooms that I've never been depressed for the rest of my life, 50 years later.
My father's mush has many rooms.
If you ever were on a snowy night and you ran across the hog farm, you were taken in on every level. And this man was their godfather, let me tell you.
We went from New Mexico to Woodstock. We had no idea we were going to Woodstock. Suddenly, we're in Woodstock. And my moment of truth came when I said, "Good morning. What we have in mind is breakfast in bed for 400,000.
Yeah, Wavy.
Which is when we introduced hippies to granola. They had never seen granola before. What is this shit, gravel? We brought it to them in Dixie cups. They were enmeshed in mud and barbed wire, and we gave them granola, and they ate it, and they liked it, and they continued to eat it throughout recorded history.
You know what, Wavy? I never got to tell you this, but when everything was falling apart at Woodstock, when the stage was collapsing, nobody knew what the fuck was going on. He would come up there, and he seemed to make sense. And all of a sudden, everybody calmed down. And he was bullshitting, right?
I had no idea what I was doing.
But that is the moment of the highest order when the universe takes over, right?
Yeah, I was picked out by Chip Monk, E.H.
Chip Monk. Oh, yeah.
He built the
Oh, my God.
stage. He built the stage.
He
at
made a lot of
Woodstock.
mistakes that day.
And he had a voice like a melted Hershey bar being
He
poured.
had a TV show, too.
If you have taken the brown acid, you have just been born.
You know, yeah, the stage had no roof on it. He forgot to put the roof on, and we didn't even know about roofs at that time. But the wind and the rain started to blow the stage over backwards until we cut the back of the stage apart with our knives, and we were saved. But Chipmunk was the guy we all looked up to, and he was learning just like everybody else. But he was the greatest roadie of the roadies in those days, and we all looked up to him for his stage skills. You held it together, Wavy. You held it together because nobody could hear him, or your stage presence was beautiful.
See, the thing is that Chip knew about me because I used to do stand-up at the Village Gate, and Chip was in charge there, and he ran the lights and the sound, and knew I could get on a microphone and say hospital, and 5 people wouldn't immediately break their legs. So it was my job to make life support announcements. I never introduced a band. I would say the medical tent is over there, and if you need medical attention, there are wonderful people there who could heal you up. And if you had altered state difficulty with your psychotropics, the hog farm was there to help you out. Talk you down.
This gentleman right here, you're looking at a human being that was used to smuggle drugs, okay? Because he had, for a while, he had a cast from his neck all the way down to his legs right here. And we painted it green so he looked like a big turtle, okay?
No, we covered it with money from all over the world, and that's why it was green.
And so
it was the cast. It was the cast of thousands.
It was. And really, truly this, the police had beat on his back so hard, they broke his back. And so he had a full body cast, and we would take him out and carry him on the middle of the Grateful Dead stage and spin him around as fast as he could. And wherever he pointed at, they would do the first song. And Wavy then would push him under the piano. I'm not kidding you, he would be under the piano.
They would put me under the piano.
And that way he was out of the way, nobody would step on him, you know? But in his cast, you could reach into his cast if you were brave enough. Understand that was a very, very brave thing to do.
I was the stash.
You never knew what you pulled out of there. It might be LSD, it might be mushroom, it might be the great pot.
My father's mush has many rooms.
And Manny's the brave person that would never reach into Wavy's cast. Remember that. That cast of thousands. And he was painted like a perfect turtle. So when he was on his back and his feet were kicking and the band was playing, I'd go out there every once in a while and he had this smile. Show him the smile. He smiled just like that. And I knew he was okay. He was fine.
A simple operation. 2 stitches here, 2 stitches here, and all night long.
By now, if I was the band, I'd be coming up here to rescue these dying old farts that are smoking weed up here.
I remember Woodstock.
You see, we spent our whole life working with musicians. That's one of the hardest things to do in the world. Oh boys, oh MoonAlice, everybody's gone. You can come out now. Are you high enough yet? You know, they can hear me down there. Now, if everybody believes that it's time for music, start applauding for MoonAlice to come up here and save us. Save us. Save us.
A round of applause, a round of applause.
You know, Wavy's not kidding about. You got to remember this. When I first came into the Grateful Dead, the first thing that Grandma told me, and he never read a book in his life, he said, "You read this book that Neil Cassidy wrote." And Neil Cassidy wrote a book called The First Third.
Yeah.
And the first third is what you had to do in those days in 1958 in San Quentin when you got put in prison for just a couple of roaches. Just about that much. He got caught in North Beach. And he had to go away for 8 years, but he did only the first third of that. And he explained to us through all of the people that we got to know, and we lived in a way of knowing that the cops were never going to take us down for smoking weed. And we lived for guys like him who had to do time for it. And Wavy knows a lot of people like that had to suffer for what we know now to be the truth. And they're not going to fool us again, right, Wave?
Neil Cassidy taught me how to pick up garbage after a Grateful Dead concert.
That's right.
One time I actually found a glass eye.
Yeah.
Can I keep it? No, you gotta hand it in.
What a wonderful person you are, man. When we were doing the show in Englishtown, the stage was really tall, and all of a sudden, we found this guy, he had crawled up, he'd been handed up, he was hanging on the edge of the stage like this, and he got pulled up to us, and he had one leg, right? And he was going, "I lost my leg," he was telling me. And there, way, way out in the audience, there was a guy waving a wooden leg, like this, back and forth. And so he passed it up to the stage. It took a real long time. They passed it up. And as soon as I handed it to him, he took it and swung it as hard as he could and threw it back out. Boom! He went back out to find his leg himself that time. That is a true story, but you never know what you're going to find in a show, man.
Hopefully it floats.
Well, Pete, don't be shy at this point in your career. Mr. Pete Sears, ladies and gentlemen. And now we're going to head out of here and let these guys play some more.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Wavy Gravy and Big Steve Parish.
Yeah, Wavy. What he knows.
Hold on, Wavy, I'll help you with that one. Hold on, Wavy. I got it. Thank you, everybody. Have a great 420 every single time. Remember what we had to sacrifice. We love it.